Yeah, so Hillary's deposition was on just a few days ago, and it's the House oversight. They were grilling her on the Epstein, as everybody knows, but right at the very end, just like you said, they snuck in questions about UFOs, UAPs, and bam, Gilgamesh gets name dropped. Now, I don't know if anybody out there remembers who Gilgamesh is. So there is a story called the Epic of Gilgamesh. In this story, and things like Noah were in it and the Great Flood, if you go to the theology of it. And it gets kind of crazy. Now, Gilgamesh, I'm not going to go through the whole story. Everybody else can look that up themselves. But he goes through an epic journey trying to figure out a way to get past death. And in doing that, he had this great journey and he was told by Noah, but he went under a different name in this, but it's basically Noah because of he was the same guy that built the ark, two animals in the ark, and it landed on top of a mountain. So we all know it's the same person, just a different name. And Noah told him, well, if you go to sleep or if you stay up for 7 days, then you'll get the power of, sidelining death. And well, then that didn't work because he fell right asleep. Then he says, well, at the bottom of this lake or the bottom of this river here, there's a weed. And if you get that weed and, ingest it or whatever, then you can live an eternal life. Well, he goes down there, gets tired, brings it back to the shore, falls asleep, and a snake eats it. And the snake sheds its first skin, which is also why they say snakes actually shed their skin because that's their way of rejuvenation. Anyways, just to give you a backstory on Gilgamesh. So this isn't random though. They asked if she ever got blocked from files on UAP or Gilgamesh. She plays coy and says she never asked, so they never denied. And but why even ask? So because of the Podesta leaks, like you were talking about in 2016, that was the WikiLeaks one. They had people FOIAing, and this is for a FOIA request. This is very interesting. They were asking, and this is literally verbatim, resurrection chamber of Gilgamesh and buried Nephilim. Okay. That's not from her, but that was back from what they were FOIAing. But that ties to her in a full circle. So this is an ancient tech hunt, is what everybody thinks is going on, and there was a misdirection because people were chasing exactly. It's like the fountain of youth. So when German scientists found the tomb of Gilgamesh, that was back during the Gulf War. And so all of a sudden, the way the story goes is they find the tomb, they find the Epic of Gilgamesh, this cuneiform tablet that was written down, and they're going in, they're trying to figure out, okay, what's going on? Why are we having a war shortly thereafter this? And it was a bungled war, but the United States military took command of that area, and they made a perimeter so no one's allowed in there. And there were people that had video footage on their phones, but back then phones weren't that great, or cameras weren't that great. Sorry, not on the phones. Um, and they were seen taking out. One was a big dark object out of this area and flying it away, getting it out of there. And so there's all this kind of woo and hubbub going around that particular time. So the tomb on April 29th, 2003, BBC drops the bomb. German team led by Jorg Fassbinder uses magnet geometry under the old Euphrates bed near Uruk. Now, Uruk is the old school in the Epic of Gilgamesh that is now Iraq today. So for anybody that needs to know what Uruk is, that's what it is. They map canals, gardens, Babylonian houses like the Venice in the desert. And there, a building that looks very similar to the Epic's burial site where Gilgamesh got sealed as the river parted. And they don't want to say too much about it, but it looks very similar. They say that there was no giant skeleton, the soil anatomies matching the myth. War kicks off days later. U.S. rolls in. Baghdad falls. The National Museum gets torched. Okay, so 15,000 artifacts, if anybody remembers this, vanished. And they left all the fake stuff, the stuff that would have out there that they would make to show you what it looked like, a rendition of what this was. The real things were there. They just didn't put them on display. Well, all the real ones, the real artifacts got taken. And whoever went in there knew what they were doing, knew what they were looking for. And official line, there was chaos, there was looters. Insiders say it was targeted. Only the good stuff was gone, tablets, seals, and maybe that resurrection plant from the Epic of Gilgamesh, and the one he lost to the snake. The youth restorer, eternal life hack. So here's the twist. So the military says there's no hard proof of seized corpses or anything like that, but the timing of it is too perfect. There's invasion that starts right after BBC story, and I mean right after it. Once everybody finds out, bam, invasion. Euphrates dries up. Droughts later expose more sites. There was whispers of black helicopters hauling out something big. Fringe vids showing blurry giants. Are they fake or not? DARPA into gene editing, cloning, anti-aging. Nephilim bloodlines start being talked about. Gilgamesh was two-thirds God, by the way. He was a hybrid DNA of two-thirds God and one of human. Uh, so if they crack this tomb, why not extract it? Reverse engineer it for immortality or weaponize it. The Epstein crowd, Clinton, Podesta, obsessed with longevity. I mean,
A lot of the elites. I mean, you look at Jeff Bezos, who has talked about investing into life longevity. I believe the numbers were living between 150 and 300 years old, getting back to that old style. And if that is true, here's the other thing that kind of made me, perk up when I saw this, because I've always said on this show, every now and again, I'll say, you know what, I wonder if there's any immortals walking on the planet. If this Gilgamesh story is real, and I'm not saying it is, okay, but let's just say hypothetically it is, okay, and that they do have the proof and they do have everything, there's a chance that there are immortals walking on the earth right now.